Hey everyone, this is Jono, and today I want to talk about diversity and equality. Now, this is, it has to be said, a bit of a thorny topic. It usually pops up when there is a bit of a spat going on that a particular community is not very welcoming to certain demographics of people, whether it's by race or gender or age or experience or some other attribute. I want to talk about this for a few minutes and share some thoughts and then really get into some practical things that you can do to ensure that your community is as open and accessible to everybody. Now, before I get on, as I said, this is a thorny topic, and there's going to be some people who are going to get into the comment box in this video and start yelling at me about my viewpoints and perspectives. And there's going to be some people go into that comment box and yell at those people about their viewpoints and perspectives. Look, this is not a war. It's not a competition. It's not a mudslinging match. It's not a point-scoring competition, okay? This is designed to be an open and friendly exchange of ideas and perspectives. So I really, really value your feedback and opinions, but please, everybody, whatever your viewpoint, please keep it civil. So, we've got diversity and equality, and these are two terms that I think are often conflated in these discussions and debates. Now, diversity focuses on a healthy mixture of different groups of people, whether that's gender or race or experience or ability and disability or age or whatever it might be. When I observe these kinds of discussions and debates, people often really focus on diversity at its core, and they say, you know, we don't have enough people of this particular demographic as part of this community. So, for example, I spent a lot of my time in technology, and people say there's not enough women in technology, or there should be more women in this particular technology community. In my mind, the numbers are not what's important. Is that diversity is obviously a wonderful goal. We should have a healthy and diverse mix of people in all of our communities. Not just because the numbers look good, that we have, you know, a more reasonable balance of men and women, for example, but more importantly because it helps our communities to be more successful. We have a more diverse set of ideas and perspectives and experiences and viewpoints that we can all bring to the mix. The very best communities, the very best companies, the very best organizations in the world that do the most innovative, interesting work are born in this broth of different ideas and experiences and perspectives, and people who are happy and willing to challenge each other in their viewpoints and perspectives too. So we want that. We want that in our communities. We obviously want a very, very diverse community. But getting the numbers up of particular groups, in my mind, is a distraction. I think what's more important is the equality piece. It's making sure that when I knock on somebody's door in a community, when I knock on your community's front door and I say, hello, I'm Jono, I'd like to be a part of your community, that the experience that I get is exactly the same as the experience that my wife would get, or you know, somebody who is from France or from Germany, or somebody who sat in a wheelchair would get. The point is that irrespective of those attributes, everybody has the same opportunity for prosperity and for success. So that's the number one goal that we have in my mind. Now, saying this, you know, saying that the numbers game with diversity, I don't think it's as important as the equality piece. I do think it is important that when you go out there and you bang the drum about your community and you encourage people to come and be a part of it, that the materials that you use, that the videos and the pictures and the people that you highlight is diverse. Because one of the things that I've learned over the years when I've talked about this topic and I've talked to people about this is that if you're in a minority, so for example, you know, a friend of mine who's a woman told me this, that, you know, in the technology world, she's in a minority, particularly in open source. And she said it was nerve-wracking enough going into the open source community, not knowing as much about the technology and as much about the culture, let alone knowing that she was in a minority as a woman as well. And one of the things that we want to encourage when we're pushing out those marketing and advocacy materials about our communities is that by including diverse people in those materials, those people who are in minorities can say, you know what, I saw that picture the other day about that particular community and I saw that there was women in it. So if there's women there who are happy and successful, that makes it feel more comfortable for me as a woman to be a part of that community and be happy and successful as well. So I think that's a very, very important thing we do. But what we do is we do that not for the purposes of getting the numbers up, but for the purposes of making it clear that this is welcoming, this is a community that cherishes equality at its core, okay? So I want to talk through 5 things that I think every community can do to make sure that it's open and accessible to everybody. Number 1, set expectations. One of the things I've learned over the years is that setting expectations in whatever you do, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's with your friends, is critically important, okay? When we don't set expectations, we all have different ideas about how an outcome is going to happen, and then invariably disappointment or conflict can brew. So in this particular area, I think you want to have two documents. One is a code of conduct. This is a very, very simple set of guidelines that basically says what good conduct is. In many, many communities, we have people who join who just don't have as much social experience. They don't have as much problem-solving experience as other people. There's some socially awkward people, particularly in online communities. And what this does is it basically defines what good conduct is. And most, I think, normal people look at it and say, well, obviously, when you read a code of conduct. But it's good to get that in place and make sure that people are clear on it. The Ubuntu project has got a great code of conduct that other projects have utilized as well. It's available under a free Creative Commons license, so I'd recommend going and checking that out. That might be useful for you. The second thing is having an anti-harassment policy, particularly if you run events. Now, this is important for two reasons. First of all, it makes it very clear what harassment is. Some people think that harassment is only physical. It's only touching people inappropriately or in extreme cases raping people. But harassment can come in the form of verbal and abusive harassment in other ways as well. So what this policy does is it defines what harassment is and what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. But the second function of it is to put in their contact details for local law enforcement, rape crisis centers and places like that. So if something awful does happen, when somebody has been harassed in that particular situation, they know where they can get help immediately. Second thing that we're going to look at here is your leaders should be an example, should set an example. Now, if you're in a position of power and authority in a community, in a company, in a family, wherever it might be, people look to you and they look at your actions and your consequences and they apply it to their own behavior as well. Right? So if you are running a large community, or if you're in the decision-making role position in a community, the way in which you conduct yourself should be an example of the community that you want to grow and cherish. Okay? If you want an open, accessible community that welcomes diversity and welcomes multiple perspectives, you need to behave in that particular manner as well. When people don't, it sets an example that basically says, this inappropriate behavior, this inappropriate conduct is acceptable, and we absolutely don't want that. Now, some people say, hang on a second, I started this project and then it became a big thing and now people all see me as a leader. I don't really want to be a leader. I don't want to do this. Well, look, deal with it, okay? That's just part and parcel of authority. If you don't like the fact that, if you want to make all of the decisions but you don't want to be a leader, well, you know what, have somebody else be the leader and you can contribute to the process. But if you're in a position of leadership and authority, this is just part and parcel of what being a human being involves. 3, celebrate accomplishments from a diverse set of people. I already touched on this earlier on. Make sure that when you construct those marketing materials, when you're going out there and getting people interested and involved about your community, when you're doing Google Plus Hangouts and you're blogging about people and you're doing interviews with people, make sure that it's a diverse range of people. You want to celebrate and show off your diversity in your community. Because, as I said earlier on, for people who are in minorities, seeing those people be successful is an inspiration, and if nothing else, it's one less thing that they have to worry about. So that's a useful and simple thing to do. 4, another thing that you can do is have specific outreach programs. Now, my viewpoint here has always been that I don't like discrimination of any form, right? So, the notion of affirmative action, everyone's got their own viewpoint on this, but the idea of optimizing the community for a particular group of people and discriminating positively for those people, I'm personally not a fan of. I don't like the idea of that, because I think we don't make a more equal, celebrated community by pulling opportunity away from some people and giving it to other people. Okay, our goal here is to make sure that equality can be celebrated by everybody. So the way in which we can achieve this is that we build specific outreach programs. So, for example, if you have a community that's dominated by heterosexual white males, this is often the case, and you want more women involved, a good way of doing that is to have a women's outreach program. Many communities have done this in the past and been very, very successful with it. And what this does is it says, this community has equal opportunity for everybody, but what we do is want more women involved. So we're just going out there and encouraging more women to be a part of our community and demonstrating this is a community they can be a part of and be comfortable and successful in. So this is a great thing that you can do. It doesn't require a huge amount of work, and it can really enrich your community and bring that kind of diversity that we discuss. The 5th thing, is help to educate and not scold people, okay? There are some people out there that are of the viewpoint that the way in which they get their point across, the way in which they change the world and make people more receptive to their viewpoints is that they basically bollock them. They go out there and they yell at them. You know what? It doesn't work, okay? The way in which we change the world, the way in which we make it a better place is not by throwing vinegar at the problem, it's by throwing sugar on the problem. Is that we encourage education and helping people to be successful. So imagine you have a situation where some guy in a community says something inappropriate that would be discriminatory towards other people. Instead of humiliating that person in front of his peers, what I do is I take him to one side and say, look, let's have a conversation about what happened. You know, did you realize that it came across this way? And some people may feel uncomfortable with this. And have a conversation about, you know, I'm here as a friend, I'm here as a mentor to help you be successful in this particular piece. What that does is that changes the relationship. It changes it from a, you screwed up, let's fix it, to I'm here to help you be better at what you do, okay? I've done this a bunch of times in my career where there's been people who have seemingly been extremely inappropriate about something, and I've taken that approach and it's 9 times out of 10 had a much more successful reaction than yelling at them and telling them that they're awful for what they did. But the other thing is that actions have consequences, and in the interests of making sure that you demonstrate that your community is an equal opportunities place where everybody can be successful, ban people who flagrantly don't respect that. If you have somebody who has just been awfully racist and sexist or something else is disgusting, then warn them, try to help them, try to mentor them, but if they are refusing to change, kick them out. You don't want them around. They're a waste of time. They're going to demotivate good people from being part of what you're there to do. So that's it. I hope that was useful. I hope it got you thinking about some methods and approaches that you can use to make your own communities open and accessible to everybody. As I said at the beginning, I think diversity and building a diverse range of ideas and perspectives and experiences from a variety of different people is really important. The very best communities in the world thrive on differences. They thrive on new ideas and new ways of thinking and challenging the status quo and challenging the norm. And it helps us to innovate and do things differently. So we want to grow that, but again, I think the most important thing that we do is we make sure that that door at the front of your community will welcome and inspire anybody to walk through it and have the same level of opportunity for prosperity and success. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave you. Please click on that beautiful subscribe button. I'm going to be sharing more videos about community management and leadership and growth. And I want to make sure that they get into your eyeballs. All right, folks. See you later. Bye.